What?
I'm scared. It's okay.
I just turned off the lights, that's all.
The mother remains calm, questioning her daughter as to why she is scared, but she receives no answer. The younger daughter looks back, doesn't see anything, and then laughs at how her big sister is seemingly scared of nothing.
What was that? What are you doing? Oh, what, Nani? Look at me. What are you scared of? The fish? Oh, the fish died.
What?
Angel's sleeping already. It's raining, girls. Nothing, honey, are you almost done eating? Look at me. Look at me.
That is, until the younger girl takes a second look, and suddenly she also sees whatever frightened her older sister. Her reaction is pure terror.
Turn around, turn around, turn around. But you gotta listen to me. Turn around, look at me. What's the matter?
Well,
Fuck.
I don't know
That
why
mom
that,
that mom just recorded everything. Like, you're okay.
they do this every day at the same time.
At the same time, you know what it is? Was that
I don't know why
it was
that
a
one
damn
just like
fish.
scares the crap out of me. Just like, yeah, it was the fish or the birds or the rain.
Unless they killed the fish. I wonder if they killed
And,
the fish
and it
too.
was the ghost of the fish. You're right. It was the ghost fish from the Halloween episode that we did.
That's
I
right.
just feel like if you watched any video and then a little girl screamed, it'd be a scary video.
Yeah.
I'll say this: the scariest thing, like people say, like spiders or snakes. No, it's having a
Children.
little baby laugh without having any kids, like at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
I could run from get away from a bear. I can't get away from little baby ghost. Nuh-uh.
Oh, they got
I've seen
little
Casper.
legs.
Yeah. I'll run. But what are you gonna do?
That was a child
you
ghost,
gonna
not
do?
a baby ghost. You know, the
Mm.
baby ghosts are scarier because they don't know how much venom they have in their sacks. Welcome to 3 hours later, special edition.
What's special?
I'm sweating like I can't even describe it. There's a pan on my face basically, and it's just covered in sweat now.
You are the Crystal Lake.
I am the Crystal Light Lake.
Yeah, Matt
It's
pointed
Halloween.
out that I went from like Squid Games, or I could be a microphone.
Your microphone. Welcome to the podcast. Talking to Alex.
Hi.
Wait,
Wear a mask. Alex appreciates it. But it's Halloween special episode. I'm always excited for these.
I
We
thought
are.
we were just wearing this stuff to wear it.
I kind of feel like you want to take yours off the most.
Yeah.
What's that dude that gives you a bullseye or something?
Yeah, because you can't put a bullseye thing into this. That's stupid. You need this.
Tilts up to show
Yeah,
the
if I
corner of your
take mine
screen.
off in a second, I might die.
Your voice sounds like you're coming out of like an actual like Mando helmet.
It feels like it. It feels like I'm in a real one, even though it's the cheap plastic one.
Now I kind of just want to see who can keep these on the longest. I think
Well, I'm
technically
gonna lose right
winning.
now. I'm losing right now. Ah,
I'd win. I'd win.
You win.
I won this Squid Game.
oh.
It's so much work just for this little gag.
I forgot I could have doubled up as a foot soldier. My purple balaclava. Woo! But it's Halloween, but it's also hot because we
Quick
live in
switch
the
out for my headphones.
butthole of California, and it ain't quite
And
fall
climate
weather
change
yet.
is real, people.
We're always on fire. I'm trapped in this jacket.
Ready, go. Woo. No, too bright. Too
The
bright.
good news is I feel super nice now.
Right?
Yeah.
You
that is some
appreciate
relief.
not the mask. With 2 years of prepping with masks did not prepare us for like a full mask.
No. Yeah, you know what? Hey, I will say this. My nose and mouth were totally comfortable.
My
Look at the red mark. Look at this.
my mustache has never been sweatier.
Oh, Halloween this month has come by so fast.
And it makes me sad because I love this month, but you're right.
Like we were just talking about, like, yeah, we need to get a Halloween episode up. We'll do this in a couple of weeks. I have plenty of time to research. I was researching about half an hour before we start recording because there was no time. It's no time.
No time like now.
I've had one story for a while, and then the second one was just crushing me. It was so hard to find one.
I had one.
Okay, let me
weird.
rephrase it. It wasn't hard to find one. It was hard to find one that I felt like was worthwhile.
Yeah, that was the hard part.
And some of mine, like I was trying to go more real with them, that I was like, this isn't like scary. It's just kind of like interesting. But so we're gonna talk about spooky things. We each chose 2 stories and we're gonna go through them. I think we should do like one and then next person, and then see where we
just
are.
like one.
Yeah, it works with me.
Before we get into that, what have you guys been watching anything spooky for Samhain? Or if you look at the words that they are spelled out, it's Samhain because Gaelic.
God, it looks like I've got this crazy Cro-Magnon eyebrow and I can't stop looking at it.
You look very surprised.
I know.
You should we watched a video on Dynamite Hour of what Neanderthals should sound like. If you're ever interested, if you want to, make that a thing.
Was not prepared for it to be like, hey.
1, 2, 3. That's what it sounded like.
Yeah, sound like those things from the Quiznos commercials.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sponge Monkeys.
shit.
Look, talk about terror.
I've been mainly listening to
better.
podcasts, like spooky podcasts, because that's really been my time lately. And Spotify has a great lineup. And so I got one of the stories from there. We'll talk in a bit about that. But I mean, there's like Bob Lazar was on there, and it gave me just like horror flashbacks from our first year.
The Pukui.
Oh, the Pukui. We haven't talked about the Pukui in forever. And I don't work at that same job anymore. So the Pukui might still be there.
What if it's just like,
What if it goes with you?
yeah, I was gonna say, like, what if like what if the back of Alex's head splits and open and it's just like, it's me, the Pukui.
So should I like
Wait,
tell the
but is
story
it
of the
just a
Pukui real
butthole?
fast?
Yeah, just the butthole. What?
Should I retell the Pukui for anyone
you
who
can.
doesn't know?
I just want to add to the lore where, your butthole splits up into a second butthole. It's just like, Alex, it's me. Remember me. It was after like one violent night, you like awoken something within you.
I was your doo-doo friend.
Remember when you went and there was nothing there? That was me.
Oh shit! For
Wait a
those who
minute,
don't know,
The footprints thing, I pooped and there was a second poop beside me.
And
so I'm in.
There's one set of footprints, and that's when I realized that it was Jesus picking me up off the toilet because my legs were asleep.
Oh man. So what's a Pukui?
So in the previous job that I was in, there was always somebody that would use the women's restroom and just destroy it. I mean, it was in the toilet, around the toilet. We're in different levels, and we kind of talked with the staff, like, who the hell is doing this? Don't be gross, be normal. And we're like, okay, it's not you.
Pooping.
There's only like 3 or 4 women, and like,
pooping.
It's happening when we're not there. It's someone from a different floor. We were at 6 stories, so someone would come up or down their different story. They have restrooms in every floor, but they would destroy the women's restroom on the second floor where we were at, and we didn't know who it was. So we called this person the Pukui because we couldn't find it. It would just be there, like, hey, who destroyed it? We didn't see anybody, and it was there. And the Pukui legend continued on for Up until I left
For
and it could
years.
still be there. Yeah, it was 2-3 years of this going on. And
I think you also AKA'd it the poop bandit.
Poop Bandit, yeah. They even the women of our
Poopacabra.
staff went as far as putting a sign on the restroom stalls, like, please don't make a mess, please clean up after you. Like, it was a nice flowery like design, and they ripped it. They ripped it from and destroyed it.
It's not the only thing they ripped.
Right.
Oh.
BM Cooper.
Oh, so that's the Pukui. No, I don't know
It's
who it
obviously,
was.
it's obviously
There was-
done some trauma to you.
Yeah. Gladly,
That's
I
actually
never saw it.
That's actually my move. Like, I'll go to the furthest toilet. I just don't want to be near people that I know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough.
But I'm sure there's a whole unit that's just like, that's the shit guy.
Sure does seem to only shit here.
Oh, it's 11 a.m. again. He's on schedule.
Yep, he's regular.
I remember at my old job, there was this one time when I walked out of our like managerial training room was down the hall from the bathrooms. And I opened the door to the training room, and you could, if somebody was blowing the bathroom up, especially like bad, you could smell it like immediately in the hallway. And I opened it up and was like, oh my God, dude, somebody has done some damage to this bathroom. And I had to use the bathroom. So I walked into one and like opened the door. The smell punched me in the face, and I turned right around. I was like, nah. And I went back to the sales room or the training room, and there was a bunch of us in there. We were having a meeting, and I made like a joke, like, oh man, we got to send somebody in to check on who died. Like, just doing the typical like blah, 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 blahs. And
check.
we're all laughing, and we open the door up. And as we open the door, we see the only manager who wasn't in the meeting come walking out of that bathroom, and they were the only person in there.
Oh no.
Yeah, I have to live with that. I have to live with knowing what they did.
Make eye contact with them later on. Just like, I know what
Ugh.
you did. I know what kind of fibers in your system.
Yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to go to them, be like, I don't know where it went wrong, but something has gone very wrong for you, and I want you to be better.
It smells like something crawled in you and died. It didn't die.
God.
Yeah. So where were we at? Ghost stories.
You know.
Who wants to go first?
Pooh.
Oh, scary.
Before we
Now I gotta
do, I
open
do
it
want to
up and go
mention started playing Resident Evil 7, which I
Okay.
don't hate, surprisingly. I just got really frustrated last night though, because I couldn't get past this one part without dying a bunch. And it just puts me so far back.
So how are you enjoying it so far, though?
It's not stressful at all. It might be because Stacy's watching me play, so I feel like I'm not scared and I'm not in this alone kind of thing. So I haven't been like, whoa, like other games. Like Evil Within always messed me up. That one just stressed me out.
I want to borrow my buddy's PlayStation VR so you can try it in VR, because I honestly, my memories of that game are that it was the most terrifying experience I've ever had. And I have to remember that so much. That was because instead of walking around that house, I was walking around that house.
Yeah.
And you've clearly gotten far enough where the old man, like one of the first like big, like, oh shit, scary moments is when you think you're getting away and you're like, I'm getting away. And the old man grabs you and turns you around, and you just get that up close of his face, and he's yelling at you.
Yeah, I think it was like going up a ladder or something when he did that.
Yeah. So imagine how much scarier that is when it's not across a room or on a monitor. It's like human distance away, a dude screaming in your face, and when you go to turn your head or look away, he's still there.
Nope.
It
Nope.
was very upsetting, and I was just like, well, this is the most terrifying thing I've ever experienced in my life. Like, eight almost felt like a joy after that, because I was like legit worried to play 8, and then I was like, all right, I'll try it. It was really a cool story and I enjoyed it. Then 8 was a blast. I had so much fun with 8. Like 8 is 100% my shit.
Yeah.
That's the one I'm more excited for you to get to.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to work towards. So let's
I've,
right now too.
There's nothing scary about it. I've just been playing Guardians of the Galaxy. The most surprising fucking
Talking
game of
rabbit.
the year. Dude. The game is so good.
Sounds pretty polarizing from the reviews I've seen though.
Okay, so it's not that it's a great game. It's that the bar was so low because of the Avengers That the fact that this
yeah.
is a fucking functional game that like is legitimately kind of fun to play blew my mind. But what I wasn't prepared for is the fact that this is a hardcore single player linear non-open world like game and it's just charming, dude. Like I love the characters. This is way more in line with the comic book versions of the Guardians.
That's cool.
Just really cool. And it's shockingly gorgeous. It's so good looking. Like I was constantly like I keep going to photo mode because if you give me a photo mode in the game, I'm gonna mess with it. And like I'm sending you guys a couple of the pictures I've taken in it, but like holy shit,
they look
dude.
impressive. Yeah. I like the
Holy
style.
shit, it looks so good. And then I found out when I took that amazing picture of Gamora that there's really cool frames, including one that looks like a comic book, one that looks like an album. Oh yeah, Cosmo. How dare you?
Cosmo. Yeah. Space Dog.
Cosmo's cool as shit in that game.
I forget he's the communist.
But yeah, if you like, it literally feels like Uncharted, Mass Effect, and the Telltale Guardians of the Galaxy game had a baby.
Really?
Yeah,
I like
that's
Rocket
the weirdest
Raccoon's
part. Is
design.
that
I like the braided goatee he's got going on.
Well, okay, so what's really weird if you look at that goatee,
Mm-hmm.
the top Groot on it it looks like a pop head. And there's a lot of like, because they reference pop culture in the game, and it turns out that it's really important to the character the way they've made Peter Quill now. So Disney owns fucking everything. So it turns out that like, in addition to licensing music, there's just stuff like you in Peter Quill's room is a Tron poster. There's a very good emotional through line with a Chewbacca action figure from the original Kenner run of Star Wars toys. But I think the part that is the most surprising to me playing it, aside from the fact that it's just a legitimately good, it is a solid like B level game. It's just a good one of those. The part that really blows my mind is like how emotionally resonant the story is. Like that's the thing they took from the movies was the idea of like, oh, just because it's a goofy ass like over the top comic book movie about, you know, talking raccoon and crazy green guy doesn't mean that you can't get into some like legitimate crazy emotions about family. And this game hits you on two fronts in a way that I was not ready for, and I love it so much.
Did you finish it?
No, I think I'm like 2/3 of the way through it right now. Again, I keep taking photos. Oh, there's also like a really good costume system. Like there's no microtransactions. You just earn costumes by finding things in the game. And some of the costumes are really cool. The Groot one I just sent is one of his 5 horsemen of the apocalypse.
Yeah, that looks pretty cool.
Speaking
I have to
really,
share these
really
on
having fun with
our
this,
Instagram.
That's what I was giving to you. There you go. You got some ammo.
Yeah, and use these.
Oh, also, I'm almost done with season 2 of Lock and Key.
Oh, I keep forgetting that's a thing.
I forgot that's a good spook.
Was that is that a new one?
Yeah, it just came out on Friday.
Wow. Okay.
I figured out what it is about the show that I not that I don't like. I like the show a great deal. Like we watched the entire first season in one day, and we're almost done with the second season right now. It's that I want that show to feel like Midnight Mass, like in terms of the way it looks, like the fit and finish of it. I want it to like evoke those feelings. But what it does, it evokes the feelings of like a Greg Berlanti CW drama.
Yeah.
Very CW like, yes.
That's I think why like I bounced off it so hard the first time I tried to watch it last year before.
It's a teen drama.
Yeah, they really lay into that portion of the story,
Yeah.
which is not what I was there for. But now that I've gotten over it, I'm like, it's good. It's very good. I'm enjoying the shit out of it.
Once
It's
they got
just
into
very
the
different
lore
from
of it on season 1, I was more into it. But yeah, I didn't know that was out, so I gotta check it out because
it's so far off book now at this
is it?
point.
I never once we stopped reading the comics, I didn't pick it back up.
Yeah,
It's hitting broad strokes, but it is not the same story.
That's the thing with Netflix. Either it's very hit and miss with a lot of these.
Well, yeah, shotgun.
So
Yeah.
did you guys see? I guess this is because of COVID. Netflix didn't just renew it for season 2; they also renewed it for season 3, and they went to like finish the story, and they went ahead and just record or film both of those back to back.
Oh no, I didn't know that.
The cast before this season came out, the cast finished up a 230-day shoot to film
Wow.
20 episodes in a row of the show.
Okay.
So the good news is the final episode of the second season is called Cliffhanger, and the cliffhanger will pay off because there is a whole other season already done.
Okay. Oh, I'm in. I'll watch it soon.
Yeah, I gotta remember to try to get back into it. I wasn't like really
Sometimes.
grabbed by the show. I like the comics a lot, but I don't know. Yeah, like I guess it was the teen stuff for me too, and just like knowing like
As
the
it
characters
gets
were
more into
fleshed
the
out really
lore.
well in the comics, so like they didn't feel like who I knew, I guess.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I what put me fully on board is once they really start getting into the lore of it, they nail enough of the broad strokes that I was just like, okay, yeah, this is that story I still
Yeah.
love.
Okay. Cool.
Last thing I want to mention real quick is I played that Inscription game by Daniel Mullins. He's
Oh,
the guy
yeah.
that did the Hex, which we reviewed on here. And it's another one of those games, but it is so much prettier than the Hex or Pony Island. And it's really good. The thing is, like, much like the Hex, it doesn't stay the same game as you're playing it. It changes. And the first part of the game is so addictive and great that I wish that was just the whole game. Because you never go back to that style of gameplay. To not spoil it, because these are very weird, twisty games. But the first game it's basically Slay the Spire. It's a card game. It's a roguelike. And it's just super like really pretty to look at. And then the game changes. You never go back to that. And I just want to play that game.
Yeah. You can't get too attached to the game style.
Despite
it
how
changes.
great the story was too, because the story did everything. There was found footage. There was the classic, how every single game he makes, it's about like killing the developer somehow.
Yeah.
Lots of fourth wall breaks, but I want to go back and play that other part of the game.
Yeah, I'm such a sucker for the hidden footage
Yeah,
genre, whether that's games or
and
movies.
That's the entire premise of this game. It's like you're playing as someone that found this floppy disk out in the forest. And then throughout the game, you actually get video clips of that person that you're playing as, and like weird stuff's happening to him in the real world as you're playing this game.
The funny part is I've still never really heard anybody talk about Hex other than us.
Yeah.
I've seen this game is like kind of picked up a lot more steam than the Hex seemed to ever do.
Yeah.
Game
Devolver,
journalists I follow and stuff have been talking about it. Yeah, Devolver.
They picked them up. That's why we're
so.
hearing a lot more of this one. But
hopefully that bleeds into like, oh, cool, this is an awesome game. I'm gonna go check out the others.
Yeah, that because he's selling a bundle on Steam. You can get all 3 games for low price. I really just hope that there's a DLC in the future that's just that one game, that one part of the game though.
You just want to hit him up and be like, hey, dude, just do more of that.
Yeah. Hey, remember me? We talked about the game that one.
He responded to us on Twitter before.
I know we should reply to that same message. Like, hey, it's me again.
Hey, it's me again, guys. It's me again. I got some suggestions. Got some footnotes for you. Yeah. Well, actually, on the Spotify podcast, it's not going to be part of the actual stories, but I never heard of the Flatwoods monster until Dynamite Hour. And then it popped up again on my Spotify podcast I was listening to. I was like, what? Okay. I've never heard of it before. And that's such like a weird, like an onion head alien.
And it's in a Zelda game. I go into it more on there, but it's like big in Japan for some reason, but wasn't big in America where it happened. And it was like right beside Point Pleasant where Mothman was. But
it's wild. There's a lot of references.
Funny enough, I was listening to last podcast on the left today, their Halloween episode. They did like creepypastas or whatever. Not that we're doing that too, but they read a what's the smut love stories called? The stupid can't think of the word, but it was basically a smut novel about the Flatwoods Monster and someone banged it.
Like slash fiction?
Yeah, something like that. Like it was like a fan-made fiction, but like very graphic sexually.
What is going on? I've seen more and more of those. Like you can't have a show now without something like that popping up. Like
it's what the kids like.
I guess. Damn Gen Zers back in my day.
Gonna bang.
Yeah, I wanted to hunt the Bigfoot, not bang it.
How big? Time was up. What? Really?
Yeah.
Okay, stop.
Ah,
Double it.
damn. Damn.
Stop. Now keep going.
He actually has no feet.
Yeah, apparently it just floats.
Ah, sorry. A video started playing audio and it scared the shit out of me. Good Lord.
You playing games while we're recording?
Wow.
No, I just found a video about one of the things I want to talk about for the episode and I wanted to see it, but it was very loud.
All right. Who's up first?
Okay, I'm good now. I'm
Let's
good. He's
get
not yelling in my ears anymore.
I'm kind of sad that we don't have the campfire vibes we did during our first one.
Just need another video chat to join in as just a campfire.
Right? I could probably do that. It's okay.
Let's see.
The world's on fire anyways. Just pretend we're living in
This
now.
world's on fire.
So I'm not gonna lie, I did cheat a little bit. I only have one real story, but that's like a narrative, like good, quick ghost story. The other one is just a thing I found out about today. It's because I was trying to find the second story and I was comparing to the first one. I really dug the first one, which I'm gonna read second. This is more like a thing I heard about that I've never heard about. I'll read you what it's supposed to be, and then we get to just talk about like what we think it is or what's going on with it. But it seems cool, and we can go do this. Just throwing out there, we can go do this.
I'm in.
Like
so I got
locally?
No, in
within this world.
in Louisiana.
Oh, okay. Okay. I do have one that's super dumb that I heard through the episode and I had to research it. Another one that's I could do. It's a local Fresno one, or at least local to our area. And another one that's more, of lore, so to speak. So I got some I could share. I'll do the dumb one first because it's really dumb.
That made me think of another one. So I got a few options. I'm not going to do them all, but one was really long, but I really want to get into it because I think it'd be fun. But I have one that I saved last year actually, and it's just like a comment in a thread on Reddit, but it like really spooked me.
It's weird. I find a lot of ones that spook me and then I forget about it. And then now when I'm trying to research it, I type in scary story. And it's about like some homeless guy who chased him with a knife.
Yeah, I feel like a lot
scary.
of them that I was reading, it would be like
It was scary.
it would
but
be
wasn't,
this
like,
spooky story, and then at the end it's
paranormal.
like the police showed up and they did arrest the guy, and he was just a crazy guy on PCP. And I'm like, well,
yeah.
And it
I mean,
can happen
yeah.
to you.
that's probably what it always is, but also you don't have to tell us that part.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Do you want me to go first? You want to go first? Who wants to go first?
I can go first with the discussion piece.
You do.
Yeah.
So
let's do this.
have you guys heard of the Devil's Toy Box?
I feel like as a euphemism and not relevant to what you're about
Yeah,
to
it sounds
talk
dirty.
about. Yeah.
So apparently it's the inspiration for the lament configuration, I don't know if this is true or if that part's true, because like I feel like
It is today.
yeah, I was gonna say I feel like I would have read about that back in the day, because like I fucking love Hellraiser, and that's gonna be my scary story. I'm just gonna read Hellbound Heart. So it is not a small box. So that's what's so funny is they're like, it's the inspiration for the lament configuration, except it's a small cabin and it's a full-size room and it's covered in mirrors.
What's the configuration?
The lament configuration is the box that the Cenobites, or that opens the portal to the
the Rubik's
hell.
Cube from Hellraiser.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, I could. Yeah, that's such a smarter way to say it. I'm sitting there going, like, well, it's a device that was made in like I'm
Well,
trying to
see,
give like the in story
Eons
fucking-
before the first life, the lament box was created.
Yeah, it's where Pinhead come.
Yeah.
Both out of and into.
Yeah, that's
gotcha.
Megan Thee Stallion, right?
Yeah, those are the sites he's got to show you. But no, so what this thing is it's in, let me open up the other window I had because it reads better there. Okay. It's in Louisiana. Apparently it's an old installation from it's called Farmer Graves Haunted Orchard. And so it's been there for a while. It's part of a haunted maze, but the thing that they've turned into is It's a small windowless shack. It's basically walk in. It's a small room. It's nothing but large wall-sized mirrors. And when you stand in it, all you can see is your own reflection. And apparently nobody can stand in there for more than a few minutes. They start flipping out. They lose their shit. They come running out. There's like the stupid and I love this kind of shit because it's local legends that like if you dig in, you're never going to find this guy. But also I just love that this is the local legend. There's like a dude who went in there who's, let's see, Roger Heltz, 52, father of 3, has been reduced to a wide-eyed mute. He hasn't spoken since the day he walked out of it. People regularly come out of it crying, flipping the fuck out, and then won't talk about what they experienced in there. And it's all I want to do now is go stand inside this thing.
You know what's going to happen is you're going to go in there and then you're just going to see Darth Vader in front of you, but then you're going to chop off his head and it's going to be your head inside his helmet.
I feel like it's just going to be a dude who's going to come out and be like, look, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to give you $50. Start screaming. You're not allowed to talk about this.
Here's $50. Do not speak again for the rest of your life.
But I just thought it was such a cool, because I don't know. I feel like I don't see a lot of stuff like this anymore, especially more modern.
Yeah.
Whenever you see it talked about, it's like in the 1700s, it's this. And instead, this is like, nah, dude, some people built this thing and it is just freaking them the fuck out. And it wasn't built in like the 1800s or built, ancient Indian bear. It's like
just appeared.
It's built at a haunted, it's at Hobbs Grove. It's like if a building at Hobbs Grove, they're like, we went too hard in the paint and it is too scary.
So you just see yourself?
Yes.
Maybe
I'm too fat.
It's really hard to find pictures on the inside of it, but people describe it and it's just wall-sized mirrors. You walk in and it's just
but it's like bouncing within itself type of stuff, right?
So it's like the shittiest mirror maze, but apparently by being so basic, it just freaks you the shit out.
Does my ass look fat in these jeans? And like, oh
my
my God,
it does so many times.
They told me it wasn't.
Leave me, Spectre.
Well, the funniest thing is the only reason that this story stuck with me is it's the first urban legend or goofy thing I've read where they reference something that I was like, that's too new.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, I like that. Because urban legends are one of my favorite things. But yeah, you're right. There's not a whole lot continuing. We all know the ones that we grew up with, but what do the Gen Zers have right now? Do they have new ones or do they have our old ones?
Right.
There's ours are even old too.
Yeah. There's Victorian ghost, but there's no 80s ghost with Nirvana shirt or something.
So yeah, in this story, there's literally the line. I'm finding it right now because this guy wrote a really long preamble. Let's see. Blast through this real quick. We rolled into town about 5 p.m. that Saturday. I met up with Erin at the McDonald's, as she called it, which was a McDonald's.
Classic.
It'd be great if it was a Burger King.
Yeah.
This crazy bitch called it McDonald's. I laughed when I first heard her say that and immediately felt like an asshole for thinking it was funny that Aaron's town only had one McDonald's. Our meet and greet started out a little awkward on account of all the stares we were getting from the rest of the restaurant. Then again, 4 strangers driving into town to meet a teenage girl at the McDonald's will do that. And this story does not go where you think it's going.
Okay.
Thankfully, Gretchen was there to defuse the situation with one simple question. Did you make that? She was pointing at Aaron's backpack, which was actually a stuffed doll that I recognized as Lumpy Space Princess from the cartoon Adventure Time.
Hey, girl.
That's where I was like, how are you gonna go die with Lumpy Space Princess on your back? But they then go on to talk about how they got to the place, the very Hobbs Grove-y kind of place. Park in a normal parking spot, get out. They see a row of brightly colored plywood shacks lining a vacant field beside several rows of Satsuma trees, not Santana. They've been covered in fake cobwebs and scary decorations. Each shack had the sign displaying the name of a different attraction. So that's the whole point. It's you go in and there's just different things in each shack. So one said horn toss, which looked like it was a ring toss game where you tried to throw halos onto a demon's horns. Werewolf bowling, which was bowling with werewolves, apparently. The Exorcist, which was a mounted squirt gun game that had several wood cutouts of Linda Blair's face. So at this point, it is just
Carnival.
Yeah,
100%.
I hope you shoot pea soup though.
Oh God, that would be so great. But that's not how is that how it got into her mouth? That's why it came out so strong.
She also didn't have a balloon on her head.
That's true. and then remember when her balloon popped? It was such a good part of the movie.
I guess it would have to be holy water and a cross gun or something.
Oh yeah, it says cartoon water tanks were painted below each of the mounted squirt guns. The tanks were labeled as holy water.
Yeah, I did it.
There you go.
She spits back. The Devil's Toy Box was the last shack in the row. It was painted bright fire engine red, and the door, which was made up of an entire wall. Or wait, the door, which made up one entire wall of the small structure, was padlocked shut. Someone had stacked a dozen or so folding rusted chairs against the side of the toy box. Aaron grabbed one of the chairs, began to unfold it. She said, "Now we wait." "How long?" Gretchen asked. "It varies. Hopefully not forever." Aaron motioned at the thick patch of wilderness to our left and turned to see a window glowing out there in the distant darkness. "See it? That's the Sawyer house. They know we're here." So that's the other part about this story that comes from multiple people that freaks me out is this doesn't seem to be set up like a business. Like there's not like ticket takers. Like the people who own this land are just off to the side in every story I read. So they know we're here, and that's a good thing. The tone was tense, had a look on her face that said she didn't realize how much, or she just realized how much she didn't want to be doing any of this. Before Aaron or I could answer, she turned to Jason. "Will you walk me back to the car?" So they start freaking out. Gretchen's like, "Hey, it got too real." They get out to the car. One of them goes inside of or one of them sees somebody coming out to talking about the box and starts talking, going like, "Well, have you seen this guy?" Holding up a picture of somebody who had been in the box that they hadn't seen since then. And they're like, "Oh yeah, it was a few weeks ago. He was the one who went in the box. Most won't go inside anymore. It lasted almost 3 minutes. Then he ran off screaming." And that's all they know is that he just ran off screaming and they never found him. So
the screaming.
The weird part is like there's a ton of stories on this thing. They all tend to talk about the same thing, which makes me feel like the part of my brain that just has to make everything make sense sounds like this is a single story that got out of hand somewhere, and like now I'm trying to dig and find where the original story came from. And it feels like it's exactly what old ghosts or old local legends would have. Like one person would make up or see something or go, and they tell the story, and then somebody tells that story, and then somebody tells that story.
Telephone game.
It's just so awesome. Like I've spent so much time today like looking into this story and reading all about it.
You got to construct one now. Turn your TARDIS into a devil's box.
Oh God, it is the devil's box.
It would actually look bigger on the inside too.
Ooh.
God, it would look creepy as hell inside there. But yeah, it's just such a cool, neat thing to see something new.
That's a hell of a marketing strategy, I think.
Right?
Like, it sounds like they don't care about the money.
And also even if they do, like, I'm sure they get money for it. Like you run it and you just go like, "Hey, people seem to be showing up. Turn the light on. Should we go down there? Just turn the light on."
Yeah, I'm picturing like people just like shaking it from the outside, trying to like make it spookier somehow. But
yeah, it doesn't sound like this place is like packed or busy.
Your imagination would mess you up more than anything.
Yeah, I fucking hate. We talked about this on the first Halloween because Hannah, you had the apartment with the creepy ass mirrors.
Yep, hated them.
Yep,
freaks me out. I'm afraid that the reflection is going to do something that I'm not doing. Yeah, living room and restroom. It's weird that I can see. So it's weird that I can see the top of my head when I was pooping over there.
The other thing about this that I find so interesting is, have you guys ever heard about it's like the world's quietest room?
Yeah.
So, and the same thing in that, like people go into that and they can't stay in very long. Like it freaks them out. It's too much.
Which I understand that there's no noise.
It sounds like paradise to me.
So that's the thing though, is that apparently like when you're in there, because of the way that even the ground is baffled, the only sound, because if you're not moving, the only sound you hear is your bodily functions.
You hear my hair growing.
You hear just how much noise your body makes.
I drink coffee. Oh God.
I like it. You know, if this is real and this box really freaks people out, I wonder how much of it is the same kind of reaction where it's like almost like sensory overload.
Yeah.
Like you walk in, the lights are the right way. Like they figured out, like if we have the lights on at this place, we do this, and we have enough mirrors there, you're just going to be uncomfortable to the point where you're like, I don't want to be in here anymore.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of in my head, to set something up like that. That can be actually as creepy as the placement of the lighting. Or even have the light slowly rotate, because you know your face will appear as though it's changing, even if you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
Well, and even I know we talked about it when we talked about Lock and Key last year, or 2 years ago, whenever it was. We talked about it for a hot minute, but like there was a thing in the show that's the mirror key that's in the show that's not in the comic. And that is so much one of my fears, because with that key, the way you know something's wrong or that it's worked is you push the key into a mirror, turn it, and it gives you access to a mirror world, which is like a prison. But the thing that was creepy was that like when somebody would turn, their reflection either wouldn't move with them or would move a little bit behind them in a way where it was off. And I'm thinking, like, if you're looking straight on and you've got mirrors here and here, you can't help but see those in your peripheral vision. So like when you're turning, it looks a little bit off to you. Like your brain's going to try to put all of them together and start making you think you're seeing something.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah,
if anyone wants to start like a Halloween
stuff.
horror maze thing, just get a box.
Yeah, just get in the box.
Just get the
$10.
box.
I got so many mirrors.
I can't take it. You make bank for like 2 days. Hobbs Grove is so hard to find too. It's so dark on the road, and you just immediately have to like make a sharp right turn. And it's
It
just
depends
out
on
of
the
nowhere.
direction. I used to live out near there. Stacy actually worked there for a few years for Halloween,
I see that.
but that's all we got. It's actually really like one of the top ones in the US, surprisingly.
Really?
Yeah, top haunts.
I went the last 2 years, and last year they had to change so many different things. So it just wasn't as good.
That's kind of why it's good though, because they do change versus
I've never been.
Yeah.
there used to be Sadistrums out near it, and I actually worked there for a couple years, but like everything was always the same, and like the owner didn't care, and just he fucked off to Florida and sold the farm.
Did I tell you that last year when I went, they'll have like scary creatures walk around the line as you're waiting, you know?
Yeah.
One of the creatures was just a very, very sassy lady. Not a ghost, not a werewolf. Just like, excuse me, what did you say? With a fan and just like walk away. I'm like, what was that? Why did I get harassed?
Good girl.
You know what that is? That's the exact person that you scare me or Matt with, because that's the person who brings in conflict, and we're both like, I'm not, no.
Yeah.
Like she's gonna get in your face, Matt, and be like, excuse me,
sorry,
and you'll be
I'm
like,
sorry,
no,
I'm sorry,
no,
I'm
it's cool.
sorry.
Yeah.
But like a Frankenstein walks by, you're gonna be like, yeah, high five. Can we get a picture, bro?
Piggyback.
I sent you guys a link to one of the good stories that just talks
Yeah,
about.
I want to
the
look
thing,
into
but,
that because I've never heard of this before, and that's really
so
interesting.
also the other thing I want to tell you about is this website I found that I really dig so far called Mysterious Universe. It reminds me of back in the day when I used to really love going to Above Top Secret and just reading stupid, fucking insane things before it became a super Trumpy, really terrifying site.
I didn't know that they had a website. They have a podcast though.
Yeah, it used to be some forums, and I was all over them for years. And then I went away, and when I came back, it was not a place for me.
No, this place, the Mysterious Universe.
Oh, yeah.
They have a podcast because I've tried to listen to a couple of those, but like they don't put the topic in the title. It's just like the date. So I'm like, I don't know what they're talking about. I don't know if I want to listen.
That sucks.
Yeah, it's cool. It's just like a collection of like just random weird shit, and you can go read about it, and they'll just be like, "Hey, here's a quick thing you want to read about." Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm pooping.
Yeah, I got 5 minutes.
Yeah. Put the
Hey, you
cooey
want
in
a quick primer on where Slenderman came from? Here you go.
Okay, and they do have titles on here. Cool. But I like that. I want to look more into the Devil Box.
Just fun, man. Like it was just one of those things where I was like, good for this generation. Good for you guys making
They're
up your
gonna
own
be
crazy
okay.
dumb shits.
Yeah, creating your own traumas.
there.
All right, that was the end of my first one. I'm done. I don't want to talk.
Okay. Sounds good to me. I have a super dumb one for the first one that I've never heard about before. Let me see if I could find it real fast. You want to go next, Matt, or shall I?
Yeah, I'll get this one out of the way.
Okay.
It's the
Get out of the
longest.
way.
Yeah, like I really do want. This is the one I've been thinking about the entire time, but it's just the person that wrote it from their perspective, but the story is from someone else, so it's just really weird to read. Oh, I thought the entire thing was recorded.
No, it wasn't, thankfully. But I had to take a quick break, so this might sound funny on the recording. But I had to get my Dust Bowl beer, thanks to our DM Sean, because he lost the bet. I bet him Dodgers would beat the Giants in the series, and he lost. And thank you, Sean.
Yeah,
for this
fuck that
delicious
sports
beer.
team.
Yeah,
Oh, hail
Fuck the
Alex
Giants.
sports team.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like regular size sports people. I don't need no giants.
yeah. overgrown babies.
They're not even
Anyways.
that tall.
Yeah, I looked. Most of them are between like 5'7" and 6 feet. That's bullshit.
Yeah. Stupid
Liars.
Giants. Dodgers didn't make the World Series this year, so I am now have a lot more time on my hands because
They
baseball
dodged
is
a long season.
Stop.
Got him.
Wow. Okay, resume, Matt.
I'll try. Well, I was gonna say I'm gonna try to get pictures because I got the very same Sean a costume for Halloween where he's gonna be the dungeon master from the 80s or 90s cartoon.
I saw that's so funny.
I'm
It's
excited.
I love the bald head and just the
Yeah.
long white hair. God. I have so many pictures to post on our Instagram. If you're following this, if you're new to 3 hours later, our Instagram is 3 hours later, the number 3, and I believe hours later all spelled out.
If you search it comes right up.
HRS later. Later is all spelled out. Who took our who has
Probably some
3 underscore hours later taken?
Probably some SpongeBob account.
Oh, I know. That's what comes up so much. It's that SpongeBob,
3 hours later. We should just own it.
right?
Start talking like that guy.
All right, Matt. Go on with your story.
All right. So this one, I had to go back and find it down. Luckily, I did save it, but then the original got deleted, but I was able to still retrieve it. But there's a thread in like a paranormal subreddit, and it's just like, what's your scary story? Blah, blah, blah. And so this was one of the comments, and it actually kind of freaked me out. It's not super scary, but it got me. It's going to be worded weird because, like I was saying, this is a Redditor telling a story that was told to them by their mom that is about their mom's friend. So we just got to get our heads wrapped around
Telephone
that.
game.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, so here it goes. This is posted by _EMMXY. This was a year ago in the paranormal subreddit. Okay, so this is a story my mom told me when I was a teenager. I told friends, and every one of us got flashbacks to thinking about it when lying in the dark. Whenever they lie or doing ghost story stuff, they would always bring this one up. My mom worked in a social club as a barmaid in the 80s and 90s. She always remembers it as a great place, friendly with the regulars and the other staff. One of the other staff members, who we'll call Tom, is the brother of a family friend who we'll call Jim. My mom had been friends with this family for decades. They kind of lost touch, so I didn't meet Jim until I was about 16. After hearing the story a few times from my mom when I was younger, years later, Jim told me the same story independently. You need to understand that this family are hardworking class, not the sort of people even to believe the paranormal, let alone go around making up ghost stories. I feel like the working class are the people that have the ghost stories, though. Back to the story is what they say. In the bar where my mom worked, pulling pints, Tom worked as the doorman or the bouncer. They obviously worked late nights, and therefore at the end of the night, the bar would pay for their taxis home for the staff to make sure that they got home safely.
That's very nice of that bar.
Yeah, this is in the UK, so that's why it sounds so nice.
Explains it.
Let's see. One night, my mom and Tom shared a taxi home, I think with another staff member too. Tom was dropped off first, and then the other staff member. And because my mom lived in a cottage outside the city, she was always the last to get home. Tom had been dropped off at a friend's house instead of his own. His friend was also a bouncer at another bar who just finished his shift a while earlier, so they planned to just hang out after their respective shifts. The next day, my mom was back at work, and Tom came in for his shift. He came and sat down at the bar in front of my mom and ordered whiskey. I think licensing laws were a bit more lax in those days because my mom says it wasn't uncommon for them to have a few drinks on the shift. She started chatting with him as normal, and she said he seemed really quiet and didn't look as if he had much sleep. After some coaxing, he told her that something had happened. The story his brother Jim had told me 20 odd years later. After his shift, Tom had gone up the lift in the multi-story of his friend's flat, knocked on the door and waited. After a few minutes, his friend, whose name I can't remember, so we'll call him Steve, came to the door and invited Tom inside. They walked into the house, and Steve asked Tom if he fancied a coffee, which he accepted. Tom told him to grab a seat in the living room while he made their drinks. Tom took off his coat and hung it up at the door as Steve headed to the kitchen. Tom walked up the hall into the living room where he saw Steve's neighbor and her daughter who were already watching TV. And I guess this is like a flat, so it's a communal area. So it's not weird that the neighbors were there, just like Hey Arnold type stuff, where like there's just a general area for everyone
You
else.
say, "Hey Arnold."
Yeah, that's the only thing I could think of because it was just a weird
It
concept.
makes sense though.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it.
So Tom greeted them, and the mother turned and smiled and acknowledged him. He sat down and started making small talk, as he never met these girls before, and they weren't exactly the most chatty. Just nodding and smiling. After not getting much of response, Tom just sat with and watched TV. After a minute or so, the woman and her daughter stood up out of their chairs, got on their hands and knees, and started to army crawl along the floor around the room. Perplexed, Tom stood and walked into the kitchen and said to Steve something along the lines of, "What the fuck are they doing? What have they been drinking?" To which Steve replied, "Thank God you can see them too."
Yeah, that takes a lot of stamina. Takes a lot of stamina to
like,
do those army crawls.
Tom had obviously freaked out and went back into the living room to see that they were both gone. Apparently, this was a regular occurrence for Steve, who thought he was going mad and had just been hallucinating. Until then, he was the only one who had seen them, and they repeated the same actions every night. After a bit of digging, they found out that there had been a fire some years before in the flat where a woman and her daughter had died.
Damn, they're like in a
I don't like
a
that.
ghost loop.
I mean, it's a good story. I don't like it.
Yeah, no, that one I just remember that was one of the ones that like made me feel all tingled when I got to that line.
Yeah. Like that.
So they're just replaying the last moments over and over at the same time.
Yeah,
and just the way the guy goes like, responsive. "Oh, thank God you can see them too." Yeah. It's like, no.
Oh, they're responsive.
Yeah. Well, like slightly because they like smiled and nodded at them. But yeah, the fact that is a nightly thing, and just like, I live here and I guess the rent's cheap because he didn't move.
I have to say that is one of the worst ways to go, is trapped in a burning building. One of the worst, like scariest things.
Yeah. It's that is a huge fear of mine. Just the part where I'm still hung up on the idea that he just sees them every night. He's like, yeah, they're just here every night. And it's like, then you shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Like, I know they're not trying to kill you according to this story, but like, okay, on the right next to me right here is a window. I run a vent to it when I'm working on like cutting things with my laser, because you don't want to inhale those fumes, so you have to run the hose out of a window. So I have a venting system that goes to it. I usually keep the screen on the window.
See the mailman pass out.
Oh, dude. I didn't realize how bad it was until the other day my brother left. I was cutting some acrylic, and that puts off some nasty odors. And in the house, like, you're fine. My brother walked outside to go check the mail, and he had to walk down our street to our communal mailbox, and he was just like, I smelled it for like 2 houses. Like, oh shit. I'm running
so the property price is going to go down. We have a 3D printer down the road.
Yeah, we got somebody just making shit. No, but so what's funny though is that but if I don't take the screen off, the particulates will build in a circle on there. And because of cutting acrylic, it's like got a silvery sheen to it. So now at night, if I have the window open and the screen shut, there's just a silver halo in the shape of a head. It looks like somebody's doing this in the window looking.
Oh.
And like, all I can think is like, that still scares me.
Yeah.
Every night. I know what it is. I did it. I know it's 100% just a dumb circle. Every fucking night I see it, there's a moment where my heart stops and I'm like, oh, the demons. So like, if you're the guy who's sitting there just like, and that's a still thing on a window.
Yeah.
If you're just like, yeah, and if every night I look at it, it would smile at me and be like, gonna burn.
Yeah. Well, what's on the telly?
Yeah, watching The Bachelorette
before I burn. That hit me in a weird spot where I was like, I don't like it.
Yeah, and then that's what I like about, like, I know Reddit's terrible, but I have to go on it all the time.
I've learned a lot about Reddit this week, and I'm really into it now.
But that's kind of what I like, is finding stuff like that just in the comments. Like, it's not an actual post. Like, it's just like, I found someone said this at some point, like halfway through a thread.
Yeah, it's Reddit comes through when it comes to some of the spooky stuff. I know you would send us a couple articles just in the past, just in general, about like cool things you found there. And I never really dug into it in this week because I was looking for stories. That was actually where I found every good story.
Reddit is the place for that. I know some of the scariest things are the true events where the guy would find post-it notes on his fridge, and
Oh,
he
yeah.
can't
That
he
was
can't
crazy.
remember what was happening.
I almost came with one of those today, and I was like, oh, not like that. Gross.
And for those who don't know the story, he was receiving post-it notes on refrigerator around his house, and
like
it didn't make sense.
Stocked, right?
Yeah, like he didn't know who was putting these post-it notes, and they're giving him a warning. Sometimes it didn't make sense. Well, kind of just the short version of it, it was him leaving himself notes that there was carbon monoxide poisoning happening, which made him lose his memory.
But that was the crazy thing is that the original post was just, hey guys, I think I have a stalker. I see these post-it notes around the house. And it was the comments where someone's like, hey dude, you might want to check to see if there's a carbon monoxide leak in your house, because we described as a lot of like carbon monoxide
symptoms kind of.
And that's what it was.
That's awesome. Yeah, I almost brought one tonight, but it's just there wasn't enough to talk about on it other than like, isn't that weird? Where like a lady was in an extended stay hotel, like on business for a period of time in a city, and so this room is very lived in at this point. Like she's been in this room, and I guess she does business in the city enough that she keeps coming back to it, and so she's been in this room before. And the story was like, the headline was like, somebody came through my mirror and is rifling through my things, and I'm like, a demon,
right?
And she describes it like the quick and dirty is like she walked in a room one day, she's there with her buddy, they're like after a long day of work, like blah 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 blah, open the door. She opens the door and there's this tall emaciated woman standing at the foot of her bed holding a bag, and she's like, why are you in my room? She's like, I thought this is my room. She's like, why are you in my room? She's like, my key works. And she's like, get out of my room, that's my stuff, why are you going through my stuff, like yelling at her. And so then up to this point I'm like, it's an apparition. So then the lady pushes past them and walks out while holding a bag, and she's like, and then I snatched a bag to see if it was my stuff, and it wasn't my stuff, it was just dirty gross clothes. And then she starts describing and you realize, oh, it's a transient. And so I keep reading, I'm like, but what the fuck, like what's going on? So she said like she came in, was finding stuff, and there was like a baseball bat on her bed that is not hers. There was like another weapon, I can't remember what it was, doesn't matter, on the bed. She's freaking the fuck out, and the cops come and all that, and she notices after the cops leave that there's a little bit of drywall in her sink, and she's like, that's fucking weird, trying to figure out where it came from, and basically on a whim touches the mirror and finds out the mirror can come off the wall like a hanging photo. And behind the mirror is like a 2 foot tall by 1 foot wide hole. And the fucking crackhead lady had been living in the walls of the hotel. They don't know for how many years.
Wow.
Going room to room, taking what she wanted. And so like she was like talking about how that explained, like, because it's a no smoking hotel. And she was like, I would notice when I'd stay in this hotel that I could smell smoke, and it smelled like it was in my room. And it's because this woman would go to your room when you weren't there, rifle through your shit, and she'd be smoking the whole time.
Wow.
Yeah, that banana shit.
Yeah, that was a similar one I found on Reddit too, where the transient would live in that person's attic, and every time he would see the lady leave, and would climb from a tree to the attic and found a spot to live in, and she would notice like an egg or bread or something would be missing, but not too much to be disturbing, but just enough where she could notice it. And it happened over and over and over again. She was going crazy until she spotted him. And apparently from the story, she had made nice with the transient and was like, you could live here. This was really sweet to the guy. Like it was really nice. And he's like really apologetic that he had to steal to get by. She gave him a room and then ended up like making it out, like surviving on his own. It's just a really weird story.
I always think about that stuff ever since like I watched Candyman. Like I always think about like the hole in the wall behind the mirror.
Yeah, I didn't realize, like I always just thought that was like some bullshit from Candyman. That's apparently like a common thing in certain kinds of buildings.
Yeah.
When they're building them, because for the workers to get in between, to get to plumbing, to get to electric, once the drywall's up, that's how they do it. And I guess in a lot of these places they don't because it's time and labor to close that hole off.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could just permanently mount a mirror over it in a bathroom. And I guess that's like extremely common. So I went down another rabbit hole after that shit. Where I just kept reading story after story after story of like something was moved, just like you were saying, Alex, like something is moved or something is missing or something this, or there's a weird smell in my house and I happened to touch the mirror this one time and the motherfucking mirror had a hole behind it and the goddamn Candyman lives back there.
Yeah. That's scary.
So weird.
Or even there was a house where that happened, and the guy caught it on camera where some lady was living in their attic or something, and like would come down at night and eat their food and go back upstairs. It's Parasite.
Yeah. There's a really fun episode of a show that I love that didn't get enough love while it was on the air called Happy Endings, where in this episode the two main characters, they share a loft in Chicago, and the whole plot of the episode is that they have a dude doing that to them who lives in the crawl space above their loft and comes down and takes their food. So it's even infecting comic or not comics, shows. But yeah, so it's just really wild.
Is this Michaela living in the attic?
I know, that freaked me out. I know what's happening.
And I think I'm the only one that lives alone. So I got like, after this podcast recording,
You don't.
check on everything.
You don't live alone, Alex.
Live alone. Here come the ghosts.
Hey, we're out of peanut butter. You hear it through the wall.
Oh,
Get crunchy next time.
I only like Peter Pan.
they're just gonna leave post-it notes of like recommendations. Like, this is not good for you. Stop eating McDonald's 3 times out of the week.
You know, Nestle owns that brand. Don't get that anymore.
We are organic here.
I don't see the oil on top. I don't want it.
Yeah, just mix it in. Okay, I have a dumb one.
Let's do it.
It's gonna be a palate cleanser for that one.
All right, bring it.
So, okay, let's see here. All right, I'm gonna read this off the Wikipedia a little bit, and I'm just gonna really paraphrase the story quite a bit because there's a lot that goes into it. I'm gonna just read the first sentence here, or paragraph. So, in September 1931, the Irving family, consisting of James, Margaret, and the 13-year-old daughter named Very, claimed they heard persistent scratching, rustling, and vocal noises behind their farmhouse's wooden wall panels. And before I go any further, from what I found from the Wikipedia and from the Spodcast episode, it's a little different. So from podcast, for the Spotify podcast, the husband and the whole family had heard the scratching, which isn't uncommon. They lived in the Isle of Man, very small islands, consisting of if you think of like Midnight Mass, the islands with small population, it comes close to what that is. And in the winter, it's even smaller. And so you're talking about a few hundred people, and there's not necessarily small animals, but it's not unheard of to hear these scratches. And the scratches persist through days and weeks. And they didn't think anything of it until they heard kind of like a baby cooing and then babbling. And then almost, just like, you hear a baby cry and what's that? The husband goes out and looks at it, tries to find the sound, hears it, but can't find it. And eventually, this must be this creature, whatever it is, has a high intelligence and eventually evolves into kind of talking in a way. And whatever reason, the husband's not scared of it and tries to communicate with whatever it is out there. Say maybe some hellos back and forth, hello, hello. And it evolved into sentences and talking. And kind of fast forwarding, they make friends with this, whatever this creature is. And they had later described it as like an earthbound spirit trying to communicate with this family. And the spirit becomes very attached to the 13-year-old daughter, to they could hear scratching, just and eventually they found a presence by the window. And they're, it's winter now, and there's not a whole lot of people. And so no one's gonna believe that there's something outside or apparition, or they didn't even think that far. And they moved the 13-year-old daughter away, closer to them, away from the window. And that's when things start getting violent. I mean, just more aggressive scratching, more aggressive sounds, until they eventually could communicate with this thing.
They haven't seen anything, right? They only can hear it.
Not yet at this point.
Ooh.
So let's see here. They eventually get it to talk, and the spirit's name is Jeff, Gef.
Sorry.
Just do it. Just do the thing.
That's all I heard when you said the spirit's name is Jeff. I just heard my name Jeff.
My name Jeff. I did too. I'm not gonna lie.
Spirit, what is your name?
My name Jeff. Of all damn names,
yeah,
you could pick Jeff. It's like after a while, like if I hear it's Jeff, I'm not intimidated by a Jeff. Like, okay, Jeff, whatever.
Hey, what are you gonna do, Jeff?
Yeah, what are you gonna do about it, Jeff? I'll kick your ass. And so this spirit describes itself in the form of like a mongoose. So the reason I say
I know the story.
You do?
Yeah.
The mongoose is what done did it
talking
for you.
fucking mongoose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just learned about this year.
Yeah. And it said like I'm a freak. I have hands and I have feet. And if you saw me, you'd faint. You'd be petrified, mummified, turned into a stone or a pillar of salt. Quote from the family. And
Mongoose said that. It's documented too. Like this is a documented thing.
That's the thing. That's what is so mind-blowing about it.
Yeah, keep going. Sorry, I got excited because this is awesome.
No, this is great. This is the first time I've heard about it. Was just a few days ago. And I've never heard of a talking mongoose spirit, whatever. And so they are trying to figure out what the heck is going on. They bring in the town, trying to like talk about it, but they really wouldn't talk about it because no one's going to believe them. There's only a few hundred people that are in this area. But things start progressing, like even inside the house. They claim that they would, and it would be like a nice talking mongoose. If they overslept, they'd wake up the family, or if there was a mice problem, it would kill the mice and like leave it as a gift, almost like a cat. And it would like regularly accompany them and trips to the market, supposedly, because they would know what they bought. Anyways, it starts getting more attention, and they get popular in like the tabloid press. And then you get people of interest, and they start investigating. Like, okay, there's really a talking like mongoose. Like, we gotta figure this, is this true or false or whatever. And so that's the reason it's so well documented. I mean, you go up into like 4 years later. So this started in 1931. It goes into 1935. And the editor of The Listener, Richard S. Lambert, also known as Rex, is a friend, a paranormal investigator of the family. And he goes out there and he tries to see if it's true or false. And the crazy thing is they could not figure it out. There would be things like they would sit together and nothing would happen. And then all of a sudden, one account was like a needle went from one part of the house to another, just fling, like shot out. And there was no one, like all the families there. So it couldn't be the family. They couldn't figure out what it was that made that thing happen. It was from like the house. And the best that they described it was a mongoose, but had short hair. And they tried to prove that the mongoose was real. And somehow, some way, they found fur and had sent it out with this like investigator, and that went to like this naturalist, F. Martin Duncan, who had identified it as a dog. But you get a lot of people together, and you would hear, and I'm not sure if this is more confirmation bias. If you're going to hear crazy sounds, your brain is going to try to find crazy sounds. but there's multiple accounts
Learning.
of like kids walking to the house trying to find the mongoose, and they would hear scary sounds. And it's like, oh, I seen a animal with yellow fur, or I seen this or that. And so this built up this story of this talking mongoose. And at the end of it all, it's still left unknown of what it was. I guess they found like of the alleged prints of the mongoose that kind of looked like a dog, but it was like longer toes. Ever since then, they still have said this. They won't talk about it really, but they still hold true to the story. There's nothing that deviated from the stories. And I'm not sure if you want to add anything that I missed, Matt. I know this is a very quick story, but
I just have sad news that actor Leslie Graham in 1946 shot and killed Jeff the talking mongoose because he bought the farm. And then there's a news article that just made me laugh because it's just like clue to mystery of talking weasel.
yeah,
you got to ask your Irish friend because this is north of Ireland and one of like
Yeah.
oh,
crazy islands
Ross,
up
shout
there.
out to Ross from I Understood That Reference podcast.
Stop tossing goats and go find us a talking mongoose.
Yeah, damn
I'm
it, we want
finding-
answers.
So much Jeff fan art right now.
My name Jeff.
And it's GEF. the worst.
GEF. What a pretentious asshole.
Oh man.
My name Gif.
My name Geff. Get it right. Oh, I'll haunt you.
I did it for Doublemint on everything I own.
So there you go. There's a talking mongoose story. It's a real.
That's a weird one. Yeah, I was listening. My coworker, I think, actually was just randomly. He was like, "Have you heard of Jeff the mongoose?"
Yeah, I never heard of it.
Just
Tell this
having a
here.
damn moment right now.
Yeah. Like, but if you had so a lot of the speculation is they made it up. They wanted the daughter to move away, like get scared so
But-
much that
Uh,
to not live here anymore. We don't want you to have this life. Apparently, I think there'd be easier ways to do that.
Some of the other stories are that the girl was doing like a ventriloquist act.
Yeah.
That was very high into that. And there's accounts of people of like her school age friends that had heard her do that before. And so there was, stories of like, no, she does this. She could do it. It doesn't surprise me that she'll try to make up the story,
No, oh Jeff.
Well, I think what
no, what
makes
it
it
is. Oh,
so
no.
over the top is like how many just old newspaper articles I'm
Yeah.
coming across about him.
Yeah. It was heavy in the papers at that time.
Oh my god.
I mean, there was investigators coming for years and they still hold true to it. And that's the thing I don't get. Okay, if it was a daughter, just say it was you. And just like you could exploit it some way. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
why did you do it? But if it's not, there's no upside to just making up that story. I could just say it's a ghost rather than a mongoose. There's so many better ways to go about making up a story than a mongoose with a mohawk.
I know this one stood out more than all the other ghost stories.
Right.
It's
it
all
doesn't
about
occur
marketing.
to
You got to
that.
market your ghost stories.
You got to market your ghost stories, people. I like the fish one we got last year, 2 years ago.
In this PowerPoint, I will.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm doing a PowerPoint the amount of images I'm sending you guys right now.
Oh, I'll share this on the Instagram too. I am a freak. Hand legs. Yeah, exactly. The quote I just said.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, that's
It's
a
a vibe
tattoo.
and accounts
It's
here with
all
GIF.
over shit. It is all over things on here.
It's crazy that there's so much of it, but it's not as well talked about, I guess.
Apparently, oh, here we go.
I'm a freak.
Got 2 hands.
I like that this one doesn't hide behind any kind of like catchphrases.
It's like read this as like Charles Manson.
Talking mongoose.
I'm a freak. I got hands and feet. And if you saw me, you faint. You'd be petrified, mummified, turned to stone or a pillar of salt.
No, I want to ask
people are so-
Eminem.
I guess it's
Spit
also
the
Beetlejuice.
atom. I'm the
What's
5th
up?
dimension. I'm the 8th wonder of the world.
Oh man, this is great.
Put my hoodie and everything.
Yeah, I want to be
Boom,
DJ
boom,
Jeff
boom,
the
boom,
mongoose.
boom, 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 boom.
now I'm looking to see what gets recommended me on Etsy now that I've clicked on 300 different Jeff the
Mom
Mongoose.
spaghetti.
No, you got to draw one and put that all on a ribbon for me so I can get it tattooed.
There you go. I'll go get our matching Jeff tattoos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anniversary.
Oh man.
So there's mine. Glad you guys liked it.
My tattoo, Jeff.
It's very good.
Yeah, I liked it. I like the weird stuff. Even like just the bizarre is really cool.
Had to.
Oh man. Oh, I guess I do.
Follow that up, Hannah.
Okay, well I will.
Ooh.
So I found when I was digging through on Reddit, I'd seen a lot of the usual suspect like subreddits for scary, creepy shit. But then I found this one. It's / let's not meet. Have either of you guys ever gone there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this subreddit is specifically supposed to be about spine-tingling, unusual, and terrifyingly true tales about stories about people you never want to meet again. And I found one on here that is legitimately one of my goddamn fears.
Oh, okay.
It is upsetting. It's upsetting to me on a fundamental level. And I don't care if it's supernatural or not. It's terrifying.
The real stuff.
So this is
real stuff gets me the most because it could happen to me, type thing. You know.
This is the perfect kind where like I could see this being what I'm about to read you could be the cold open to a movie, and then you get credits, and then it deals with like this shit that happens because of this fucking creepy thing.
Yeah. Okay.
It's called The Smiling Man, and this was posted 10 years ago. And so it starts with about 5 years ago, so 15 to us. About 5 years ago, I lived downtown in a major city in the US. I've always been a night person, so I'd often find myself bored after my roommate, who is decidedly not a night person, went to sleep. To pass the time, I used to go for long walks and spend the time thinking. I spent 4 years like that, walking alone at night. Never once did I have a reason to feel afraid. I always used to joke with my roommate that even the drug dealers in the city were polite, but all of that changed in just a few minutes one evening. It was a Wednesday, somewhere between 1 and 2 in the morning. I was walking near a police patrolled park quite a way away from my apartment. It was a quiet night, even for a weeknight, with very little traffic and almost no one on foot. The park, as it is most nights, was completely empty. I turned down a short side street in order to loop back to my apartment when I first noticed him. At the far end of the street, on my side, was the silhouette of a man dancing. It was a strange dance, similar to a waltz. But each time he finished the box with an odd forward stride, I guess you could say he was dancing, dance walking, headed straight for me. So I don't know how familiar you guys are with the waltz, but like that's where you'll hear like the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Like,
you gotta like walk in a box.
Yeah, and you're constantly doing that. But what this guy's doing is doing a solo waltz, and at the end of every box, he just takes like a sweeping step forward.
Yeah.
Show off.
Oh, it gets creepier. Deciding he was probably drunk, I stepped as close as I could to the road to give him the majority of the sidewalk to pass me by. The closer he got, the more I realized how gracefully he was moving. He was very tall and lanky, wearing an old suit. He danced closer still until I could make out his face. His eyes were open, wide and wild, head tilted back slightly, looking off into the sky. His mouth was formed in a painfully wide cartoon of a smile. Between the eyes and the smile, I decided to cross the street before he danced any closer. I took my eyes off him to cross the empty street. As I reached the other side, I glanced back and then stopped dead in my tracks. He had stopped dancing, was standing with one foot in the street, perfectly parallel to me. He was facing me, but still looking skyward, smile still wide on his lips. I was completely and utterly unnerved by this. I started walking again, but kept my eyes on the man. He didn't move. Once I put about a half a block between us, I turned away from him for a moment to watch the sidewalk in front of me. The street and sidewalk ahead of me were completely empty. Still unnerved, I looked back to where he had been standing to find him gone. For the briefest of moments, I felt relieved until I noticed him. He had crossed the street and was now slightly crouched down. I couldn't tell for sure due to the distance in the shadows, but I was certain he was facing me. I had looked away from him for no more than 10 seconds, so it's clear that he moved fast. I was so shocked that I stood there for some time just staring at him. And then he started moving toward me again. He took giant, exaggerated, tiptoed steps as if he were a cartoon character sneaking up on someone, except he was moving very, very quickly. I'd like to say at this point I ran away or pulled out my pepper spray or my cell phone or anything at all, but I didn't. I just stood there completely frozen as the smiling man crept toward me. And then he stopped again, about a car length away from me, still smiling a smile, still looking to the sky. When I finally found my voice, I blurted out the first thing that came to mind. What I meant to ask was, "What the fuck do you want?" in an angry, commanding tone. What came out was a whimper. What the fuck? Regardless of whether or not humans can smell fear, they can certainly hear it. I heard it in my own voice, and that only made me more afraid. But he didn't react at all. He just stood there smiling. And then after what felt like forever, he turned around very slowly and started dance walking away, just like that. Not wanting to turn my back on him again, I just watched him go until he was far enough away to almost be out of sight. Then I realized something. He wasn't moving away anymore, nor was he dancing. I watched in horror as the distant shape of him grew larger and larger. He was coming back my way, and this time he was running. I ran too. I ran until I was off the side road and back onto a better lit road with sparse traffic. Looking behind me, he was nowhere to be found. The rest of my way home, I kept glancing over my shoulder, always expecting to see his stupid smile, but he was never there. I lived in that city for 6 months after that night. I never went out for another walk. There's always been something about his face that haunted me. He didn't look drunk. He didn't look high. He looked completely and utterly insane, and that's a very, very scary thing to see. So, like,
the story before, and every single time it gets to me.
Yeah, like as I'm telling the story, like the hair on my neck was trying to stand up. It's just such a creepy thing that it's like, because what it reminded me of was like, at first I was like, are we talking about the gentleman from Buffy? And just looking, I was like, oh, that's a common thing. I went and looked and like, yeah, the grinning man or grinning alien is like a common trope across a lot of things. But that one, just, it was the fact that like it was the dancing, it was the like methodical movements and making a show of it that just fucking unnerved me.
There's a really good YouTube short of that exact thing. I sent it to the chat right now. It was the first thing I thought of.
Oh, well, nobody sent it to you guys.
But yeah, listeners, if you just search Smiley Man on YouTube, it'll pop up. It's 2 a.m. the Smiley Man short film.
That's the thing that unnerves me the most is when things are just out of place. Like this one thing for being like a angry monster or chainsaw guy. It's like, okay, that's in place of what I should be scared of. But when it's out of place, that shouldn't be scary, like smiling, a waltz. Yeah. Those two things should not be one of the most terrifying Reddit stories I've ever heard.
It's 2 a.m. Stop dancing at me.
You know, I could dance.
The best part too is like that. If you wanted to turn that into a good story, like it could be like just the way a movie about a serial killer starts, or the movie about like some supernatural force that comes and takes people in the night, or some crazy shit, or it could be a fucking weird alien.
Subvert it, make it the good guy.
Yeah, he's like, why won't you dance with me?
We have to finish the dance or your world will be destroyed.
Okay, I'm watching it now, and it's just kind of funny without the sound.
Yeah, the music really makes it tense. But
yeah,
maybe he's like part B, and the only way you could talk is through dance.
Yeah, I just hit the
buzz
part where he's dancing toward him, and I don't like.
Yeah, I don't like it
at all.
Dancing in the street.
What the?
It
reminds me of like
now he's doing a weird. Now he's doing like a weird like West Side Story dance.
Like
I don't like that. That sounds cool.
Yeah, like that is the eerie part of Attack on Titan is when the monsters just look like smiley people.
But what does he do if he catches up to you? Like, what's the intent? Like,
oh, he's gonna put it in your butt.
I was gonna say tickle you, but all right.
Tickle your butt.
Like, ow. Tickle your butt
from the inside.
Oh no! I'd run too.
Just gonna force you to dance with him as much as he wants.
I don't want to. Oh, he's running at him.
Yeah, I stopped it. I don't like it right now. It's too much.
Oh.
I had a point where I was like, I need to go to bed some point tonight. And I don't.
There's I think they started a podcast based off of that subreddit too, where it's just stories of Let's Not Meet.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time on that the last few days, and like it's a really cool mix of like creepy stories like this, and then just also like just really fucked up stories about like a fucking serial killer almost killed me one night, but it's cool he didn't. And you're like, what the fuck? Yeah. Okay.
5 years later, I'm on the news.
What's the scariest person you've ever met in person?
Scariest person I ever met.
Mine for sure was like a dude who was shoplifting and wouldn't stop talking to himself and had a knife hanging from his belt and kept fidgeting around it. And he never did anything that like outwardly threatened me, but it was the fact that he was he did do something that actually made us all fucking freak out. He was being really creepy, and then the part that apparently I blocked out was that he also, and I think I sent you guys pictures of this, he had a notebook with him that he left behind when we finally kicked him out of our store.
Yeah,
and he
I
had like
remember that.
drawn fucking pictures of the guy at the AP stand and like written "kill him" and shit like that on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, guess what? That was really scary. Holy shit. I forgot about half of that story.
Oh,
I was like,
sorry.
why was I so afraid of that crackhead? Like,
Yeah.
I dealt with crackheads all the time.
That's what I was thinking. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's every day. We're in Fresno.
Yeah, that was the funniest part, because I knew I was afraid of this guy, but I was like, why was I afraid of him? He just was a crackhead with a knife. We just
Add your
followed
name
police
on a
and take him out.
notebook. That's all, you know.
Yeah, holy shit. It was the fact that he was like, he had a goddamn kill book.
Trying
that
to
he
do
left
a
behind.
death note in Fresno.
Fuck.
I don't know his name. I'm going to drum.
Yeah.
Go-
I
go-
think
go
his
get him.
name is No Steal a Man.
No seal, man.
Yeah, nowadays it looks like a lot of the stuff that's on the Let's Not Meet subreddit is a lot of like what sounds like human trafficking that went well for the person who would have been kidnapped.
Wow, that's scary.
Yeah, check out the just the Let's Not Meet podcast. That one's really good. They handpicked the best ones and it's still going.
Wow.
Oh,
Wait,
actually, look
Good
in there.
narrations.
It's very interesting, but also like I don't want to.
Yeah.
I'll not be doing that. Thank you.
Well,
I'll stay away from that.
I haven't met a whole lot of like people that really, really scared me, but the one that popped in my brain right now was I 100% heard like eerie violin like single notes in this one situation, and I was working at a Blockbuster, and I had held a movie for one of the girls that worked at a pizza place next door because she wanted, it was like Hills Have Eyes or something. She's like, everyone was getting it. It was hard to find on the shelf. So I got one returned and I was like, hey, got one if you want me to hold it for you. And then she's like, yeah, cool. And after her shift over there, she came by and to thank me, she brought a pizza. And so I was like, hey, everyone, they brought pizza to my coworkers. And one of my coworkers was already like a space cadet. Don't want to name names, but everyone that knew me at that Blockbuster should know who this guy is. But anyway, hey, there's pizza. And he's like, cool. I need to, can I use the phone? We're like, yeah, that's fine. Weird question. Like, I don't know why you need to use the phone. And so he picks up the phone, dials, and then he's standing right next to me, like a foot away, maybe 2 feet, because I'm just right by the pizza and the phone's right by the pizza. And then I just hear like, hey, is mom there? Can I talk to her? Hey, mom, I just want to see if it's okay with God if I had a slice of pizza. Okay. All right, thanks. And then he just grabs a piece of pizza.
I'm glad God is good with pizza though. Like he's like, yeah, dude,
I mean,
it's pizza. Come on, that's what I made it for. Consume it.
Yeah, that's the whole reason why you're here.
What if that kid was starting his life of crime though, and his mom was like, no pizza, and he was like, excellent, thank you. That's in my head after you said the whole like, is it okay with God thing? Now I've reframed everything he said to be like, hello, can I speak with mom?
Yeah, I mean, that kind of was it.
Is it okay with God if I have pizza? Like, I just keep getting that creepy grin on his face too.
That kind of was it. Like, I knew this guy all through high school too, and like the journey that he went from who I knew in high school to that point was bizarre.
No, there's always
Like,
that one high school kid.
Yeah, I don't want to get into detail on the show, but like I'll tell you afterwards, because that was one of my coworkers thought that they're gonna wake up in his trunk.
Yeah, there was this one kid like that too. He was like, had the devil Bible and it would read it, and it would just be, he would wear like a sweater even if it was like 110 degrees out.
That was me, but it's because I was fat.
we I don't know where he's at now. Honestly, we'd call him Digit because he was just like digit. Like he'll just
Pokemon.
No, he would just say that
like Gollum.
That's
real...
Diglett.
That's Diglett. Different. I don't know the scariest moment for me. I know it was with my previous job where this guy had threatened in a different location with a knife, and would say that women are all liars, this and that. And he
Sounds
was
like a nice guy.
Yeah, pretty nice guy. And he wasn't allowed anymore in any more locations. Like, no, we're not gonna accept you. Please don't come back. And he came to Fresno to do the same thing. And he brought like 3 friends with him. One apparently was also his dad, apparently, but he was
my best friend.
right. And the crazy part is we have a security thing and in place to hopefully protect us. And cops were called, and promptly 20 minutes later they showed up after they're about to leave. Because Jesus. I was just trying to like buy time. It was me. Yeah. It was happening to me. It was like, we want to see somebody, like, yeah, no problem, sit down, and like no problem, like it was regular, until I started reading his notes, and it was like a paragraph long. And this guy threatened somebody with a knife. Cool. And there's 3 other guys with him now. Cool. Let's get the cops involved. Let's kind of have them get out of here. And they kind of got sick of waiting. And the cops, as they're coming in, we described what truck they were getting into, got them stopped, but they were free to go because they technically didn't do anything besides trespass. And yeah, that was the only danger I've ever been in recently, but I wasn't necessarily scared because I didn't see any weapon. But hearing the notes, I was like, oh man, this could get serious real quick. And I'm outnumbered.
That is, yeah, that's
People are
upsetting.
Scary.
So in a fun fit of creeping me out on a real hardcore level, a friend of mine just sent me a tweet. Just don't know why he decided to send it right now. Just decided to send it right now. And it's funny because like I was gonna say, like with the grinning, the thing that I think freaks you out is the fact that it looks right, but something's wrong. And that's what she said. Yeah. It's like when things are just a little off.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking tweet literally just got sent to me. One of the most frightening things I've ever heard is when someone pointed out that the existence of the uncanny valley implies that at some point there was an evolutionary reason to be afraid of something that looked human but wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And like thinking about it, it's like, yeah, the same thing there, where it's like, I know you're a human. No. Something
wrong.
Human.
Wrong. There's I guess it's kind of like a copy pasta. One of my favorite ones that I like to bring up every Halloween is similar to that. It kind of goes over like, why are we collectively afraid of like things with sunken eyes and sharp teeth and all this stuff? Like, what was it that our ancestors were keeping close by the fire at night? And
that's the kind of shit that I love, though, is as creepy as it is and as freaky as it gets when you start thinking about like, well, wait a minute, why? Because like you could even think like with the sunken eyes, it's like, well, yeah, that looks like a dead body. That would scare us.
Yeah,
but it's like
just someone unhealthy.
But also like, well, what about the fangs and this and that on the same thing? And the part that freaks me out is when you do think about like, people make fun of like Assassin's Creed because like it's genetic memory. You can't do that. And it's like, no, there is some fucking truth to it. Yeah. Like I don't think genetically.
Yeah, exactly. If I see something with more legs than 2 running across my desk,
exactly. That's the same thing like with the cats, where there was that viral thing people would do to their cats that it turned out was super mean, where if you put a cucumber behind your cat, it turned around, it would lose its shit.
They're fine.
And then it took somebody going like, yeah, that's because like they are literally like hundreds of or thousands of years have taught them that's a snake.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought about it and I was like, that's impossible. My cat's never seen a snake. And then I did it and it freaked him out on a big bad level. I'm like, well, you never seen a snake, but you definitely know if you see a snake-like thing, that ain't for you.
Yeah. We did that to ours, and he just went back to his food.
We have a catnip toy that's like just like a tube. It's almost like a long pillow, like this big. That's just got stuffing and catnip in it.
Mm-hmm.
And my roommate's cat loved it. Like he walked up, he's like, "Oh hell yeah, catnip!" Was all over it, loving it, had fun with it. My cat would only walk up to it and get mad and slap at it to get it away from him. And like I watched him a couple times, like it would just be behind him and he wouldn't have noticed it. And he'd turn around, see it, and be like, "Fuck!"
What if they were spooked themselves with their tails?
Oh, I'm sure they did. Watching my cats, yeah. Seeing how often he gets into a full blown fucking fight with his tail. He's not just afraid of it; he's mad at it.
Can never win.
Justin McElroy agrees with you that Inscription is really good too. I'm getting a lot of weird tweets right now about things we've talked about tonight. So I don't know who's listening to me.
Are we live?
Apparently, Justin McElroy
Hello.
tweeted out like not that long ago, like 30 minutes ago. Just finished Inscription today. It's the best game of the year.
Should have just been like, Matt's right, send tweet.
Just said, Matt, do you agree?
So good.
JK, I know you do.
Who's next?
If we already own the Hacks and Pony Island, I think you get it for $16 on Steam.
Oh, nice. I haven't played Pony Island, so
I think we're gonna at some point in the future we might play it on Dynamite Hour. I want to make Jason play it.
nice.
I can go next. I have a couple options here. I got a real, just a real thing that's not like a ghost story, just like a fucking scary thing that can happen in real life. I got a local thing, which maybe you maybe think of earlier with a local story.
Is it the?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, no,
that one.
Not
No.
the Nightcrawler.
Right. Yeah. Nightcrawler.
Not the
Yeah.
Nightcrawler. Something
No?
else, but something that
Oh.
involves that, which is pretty funny.
I like how we can. No one who's listening to the podcast audio. Cause it's like walking. If you know Fresno, cryptids. Pick that up.
Fresno. It's either the cryptids is either meth heads or the Nightcrawler.
All the spooky in their own right.
Yeah.
All the Nightcrawlers is a meth head who's pulled their pants up too high.
Right. Yeah.
I think so.
It's actually just like an alien, but just also addicted to meth.
Oh,
He was a straight up gray, and then he showed up. He's like, "This meth is gray." Oh,
my pants.
if you don't put your space pants around your throat, they'll get you.
I do want to briefly mention an SCP. I really want Alex to read this. I'm not going to read it because it's kind of long. I'll send you a video because it involves sports. And it's kind of interesting. The gist of it is so SCP, if you don't know, it's this kind of made up almost like government entity, and it's basically just like a bunch of people online write scary stories and they post on this website called SCP, but nobody owns it, and it's really cool. It's like a communal thing, and people post these creatures or things that are just odd, and then they vote on it, and then like if it's good, like it'll actually stay on the website. If it's bad, they'll remove it from the website. So it kind of cultivates as time goes. One of them is about a DVR that recorded a basketball game, the 2010-2011 NBA season opening between Boston and Miami. And on that DVR recording, if you play it back, the more you play it back, the more people inside in the recording realize that they are living a Groundhog's Day. And
what the hell?
If you go back far enough, like it's just complete anarchy because they're trying to escape because they keep remembering the previous recording. And like literally like tribes are created and ritual sacrifices happen.
What?
That's
If you're interested, look up SCP-1733.
Wow.
But I'll send you something afterwards because I think you really like it.
Okay.
I actually started playing the Dune soundtrack, and it's very loud in my ears. Oh God, Dune, stop playing.
My
What was SCP? SCP what?
1733.
1733.
Cool. I'm gonna read that after.
It's a really good one. Second runner up real quick was about this Lake Nyos disaster. I don't know if you've heard of that. This was I think in the 80s. Basically, this entire village in Cameroon just died, like all at once.
Damn.
And like it was a big mystery for a while, and it turned out that there's a pocket of carbon dioxide at the bottom of this like lake, and it just like swept through the town and everyone suffocated.
Jesus Christ.
But just like
Wow.
you just be living your day, and then all of a sudden like everyone's dropping around you, and then you're dead.
So
yeah.
Bouncing off of the what happened to us in like long time ago as a species that made us afraid of certain things now. I also, on the other hand, want to be like, how many crazy events that turned into like the most insane urban legends or horror stories that we heard all through our lives were shit like that happening at a time when they're like, we didn't know what carbon, like, we didn't know what this was. We just know that something rolled through town and everyone died, or people started going crazy and flipping out. And
that is something that I like looking into. And one of the topics of something that did come from that is literally vampires, like tuberculosis. It was all blamed on vampires.
Yeah.
Well, they weren't wrong.
Yeah, I mean, they did do a lot of vampire superstition stuff that actually helped, like burning the bodies after they died,
Yeah.
stop the spread of tuberculosis.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like how many just legends come from that same aspect of like
Trying to
you said,
explain
like
something like unknown.
Well, and they did the anti-vampire thing of burn the body,
Yeah.
and the tuberculosis left. So we know why that did it, but like to them, they're like fucking burning it.
Yeah,
worked.
it's
the Monty Python thing of like if it floats, it's a witch.
Yeah,
they're like we burned it, it stopped it. It's clearly a vampire.
We're so dumb. Okay, but I will read my final story here.
Okay,
and this one's local, so that's why I like this one. It's actually about the Rainbow Ballroom. It's kind of a popular story. I don't know if you guys have heard of this.
I think I have, but go ahead because it's a good one.
I feel like I have, but also all I ever think about the Rainbow Ballroom is getting into a fight there.
With the devil?
No, with a guy who was trying to dance with the girl I was there with at a Modest Mouse show.
I mean, listen to the story. It could have been him.
Oh no.
I'll send you guys a link once I read this because I also want to go through the comments because that's what's crazy about this. Is there's a bunch of comments that are like, yeah, my grandma told me about this because my mom had told me the story when I was a kid.
Okay, yeah, I think I know which one. Let's get into it.
So this website is the fun, kind of makes me sad, but there's a website called Weird Fresno.
There is, yeah. I follow on Instagram.
The Rainbow Ballroom on Broadway in downtown Fresno. There's a story. Several decades ago, there was a dance held at the Rainbow Ballroom in downtown Fresno. The place was filled with many people, and at this dance, there was a handsome man that everyone seemed to be noticing and talking about. He was tall, had dark features, and was dressed in an expensive white suit. I'm Colonel Sanders. As the night wore on, he asked a young woman by the name of Patricia to dance. She was happy that she was chosen out of all the women there and began dancing with a handsome stranger, who was said to have a very smooth sounding voice. As the night continued, they danced and danced. For some reason, she looked down and saw the man's feet. To her horror, one of the man's feet resembled a huge chicken foot. Terrified at what she saw, she began screaming loudly. Everyone stopped dancing at the sounds of her screaming and looked at her to see what was going on. They saw the man's strange foot and could not believe what they were seeing. At that moment, he smiled at everyone and disappeared. No one knows who the stranger was. Some say he was a ghost of a man that was killed years ago. Others say he was a demon plane that enjoyed scaring young women. And then some say it was the devil himself, reminding everyone that they won't know who he is until it's too late.
Old chicken foot.
I think he just skipped leg day, like every day. Never skip leg day.
Oh man, it makes my Colonel Sanders joke better.
Got him.
But yeah, just checking out the comments on there, it's literally gives me that urban legend vibe because it's like, you know, I heard this too, but this was different, or I was told that this happened in Mexico. And but yeah, I was literally told this as a kid by my mom, who I think supposedly like one of her friends was there or something, and that's half of the comments on here. This is interesting. My mom told me a very similar story that happened in the 70s or early 80s in the town of Chihuahua, Mexico. The story was also told to these are just all comments here. And the story was also told to my mother by my stepfather years ago.
And if we remember on our first Halloween episode, I had a personal horror story
I was thinking about that when I was reading right now about the
goat feet. Yeah.
Or the was that the same one with the bathroom?
Yeah. The devil's bathroom.
Maybe that's the origin of the Pukui.
Oh. I said it's still there. My family still owns the house and all that. I use it quite often when I'm there.
If you want to hear that story, go to our first Halloween episode. That was actually one of the scariest ones we told that night.
Was it?
This is my favorite comment. I was having trouble copying it.
Yeah, it was. Brief explanation on that one. It was just the bathroom was locked and we saw some feet. Go listen to the full version if you'd like to hear more spooky story. And that was mine. That was when I was like in first grade. That's crazy.
Did you send a comment from the comments?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a real spooky comment.
Yeah, I also heard. So that's the thing too. Is
My cat just jumped up and fucking headbutted me and scared the shit
I'm
out
the
of me.
devil. A lot of the comments are like, I heard he had hooves, and I've also heard that. And the ones that are saying that this happened in Mexico, also, that's actually a big urban legend out there, because I've heard that same thing, and I actually bought like a Hispanic like spooky book, I guess. Like it just has a bunch of like lore of Spanish heritage or Mexican heritage, and that's one of the stories in there, I believe.
Hey, Matt.
What's up?
Speaking of things coming back from the dead, Weird Fresno's had 2 posts recently.
On the website, nice.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
I do follow their Instagram too, which does do things. But yeah,
September 21st, there was a post, and October 24th.
Hell yeah, subscribed
on Instagram or
on their regular website.
Yeah, just weirdfresno.com. Nice, good. I'm glad it's back.
Okay, because the last one on their Instagram was a Furby that was a Nightcrawler.
Yeah. Shoot, I was gonna mention one more thing about.
There's so many. It's one of those stories where there's a lot of accounts of that particular event and also similar events around the world that just make it so intriguing, and it's you can't like dismiss it entirely.
Blackbeards.
Sorry.
That's the thing I always think about around Halloween. In '87, a magician just straight up died at Blackbeards.
Well, I mean,
I skipped the fish tank. Didn't make it.
Well, he was trying to he was trying to be buried alive, and he was.
Well, you succeeded. It's one of those things where like, do you succeed by getting out, or are you succeeding by failing?
But I never heard of it before, and then I looked it up a couple years back, and I thought, I don't know, that was interesting because I went to Blackbeards all the time, and just like the year I was born, someone died here.
The Fresno Bee reported that.
Yeah, they had it. It was on Halloween too.
That's weird.
My dog keeps trying to climb on my let me know that he has to go use the restroom, and he keeps like randomly touching my feet. But stop.
That's what my cat did. Like I'm just sitting here like listening to the story, like this is creepy, and reading the like shit about it, and I'm like, this is creepy. My cat's just like, hi. I see you're at your most vulnerable. Let me remind you, I could kill you. Psh. Dick bag.
Yeah, the Fresno one.
That's all I got.
Okay. I have a local one. There was one I actually did research and did a whole, like I put in a Word document what I wanted to say, but it's gonna take too long, so I'm just gonna use a local one.
Yeah, that's why I didn't want to read the whole SCP thing.
Let's see. Okay. So this one. What's funny is there's a story because I found one on fresyes.com, and this one has multiple Central Valley horror stories, and one has the Porterville gnome that I don't know. I'm not gonna read that one, but I was like, okay, gnomes have scared me since like Goosebumps age, so I'm just gonna.
What's the Mexican version? It's like the Duertes or Dueng Mexican gnomes. What are they called? Because I've seen like a bunch of videos for some reason, like of Mexican gnomes.
They like move and all that. You're not looking. It's like the crying angel from Weeping Angels from Doctor Who.
Duendes.
Duendes, yes.
Yeah, Duende. But like if you just look it up on YouTube, like you'll just find a bunch of like weird little dudes running around.
So I'm gonna read the ones from Fresyes and then a little snippet from weirdfresno.com. So let's see here. This one's called The Wolf Ape of Watts Valley. So I'm just gonna read it for verbatim, but if anybody wants to read the other articles, it's fresyes.com/tag/weird-fresno. So this is the first one actually on this list. So this one, this was one of the earliest stories I wrote shortly after I heard a mention in KRZR. And this is from the author of this article, Michael Banty. Rest in peace, the front row. I guess that was the radio station before KRZR. 2 men were gem hunting.
The wild hair.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, near the Watts Valley Road and they saw something out of the bushes that they described as a mangy, gray-haired creature about 6 feet long that had a face similar to a baboon. It made sort of a coughing sound as it opened its mouth. Terrified, and I would be too, both men ran from the creature as it began to chase after them. They ran for several miles, hopping fences, dodging bewildered cows, until they finally found themselves in the Waltz Valley Cemetery in Toll House, California. They were able to distract the beast until a caretaker pulled up and offered to give the two men a ride back to their car. The three, so it's three of them now, watched as the creature kind of ran away silently. No one knows about what the creature is, but its legend to have been around for at least a century. And another person, Ansel Adams, supposedly came across a pack of these creatures on one of his many trips to Yosemite. And another story tells of one terrorizing a schoolhouse full of children, which is the story I'm going to read here in a bit. And one story has the creature being seen on at Bass Lake sometime in the 1980s. What the theory is that it's like a failed genetic experiment, an offspring of Bigfoot, or something else completely. No one else knows.
This is awkward. It's just me.
It's just you without your shirt.
Yeah.
This hairy beast.
You were just yawning and they took it as the scream.
Yeah, my asthma is acting up, so I'm just like, I gotta show my teeth.
All right. So this one is off of weirdfresno.com. It's strange things going on at Lost Lake. And this one was September 19th, 2010. And wait, is this the same story or not? Let's see. If not, then it's another one. I received several stories regarding some rather interesting things. Oh, no, it's different, but it's Lost Lake. So I'll read it anyways. Happening at Lost Lake. This is in Fresno County. It's a recreation area. It's located near Friant Roads, north of Fresno, on the way to Milton Lake. And I've actually been to Lost Lake before. One witness and their sister-in-law were fishing late one evening alone at one of the day beach areas. The witness reported that as they were shining their flashlight on the island across the water, they saw a dark figure moving in the brush. At first, they figured it was a coyote or something, but then they realized it was too big of an animal to be that. Just as they were about to turn off the flashlight, the light hit the figure. It appeared to be a young man, about 4 feet tall, pale, only wearing swim trunks. But right as the flashlight was turned off, the person heard a large splash, like something heavy had been thrown into the water. The witness claims it couldn't have been a fish, as whatever it was made a loud splash. They turned the flashlight back on and searched for they thought was a little boy, but found nothing. Spooked by this incident, both parties left in a hurry and never came back. And the second incident was that same two people mentioned before this time as a different location in the park. Once again, they were fishing late one night, this time off the broken bridge. Both were talking as their poles were in the water when they looked down towards the water and noticed a large figure in the water swimming to the shore. When it reached land, it breached itself and stayed motionless for several minutes. What happened next terrified the two witnesses, and whatever it was stood on both legs and began to walk around as if it was searching for something. They witnessed it was about 5 feet tall and couldn't really make out any features. It was really dark. The creature then crouched down on all fours, laid on its belly, then slithered back into the water and disappeared. Both witnesses were terrified and needless to say, got the hell out of there. Both in Central Valley. Both.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my darling. Hello, my ragtime girl.
It's crazy that 2010. You could even now. It's so hard to prove like creatures. You would think now we have so much video capability. How are we not getting these things?
There's an interesting theory that there's a book called The Goblin Universe, and it kind of goes into that the reason why sightings like that aren't so frequent, or at least frequent enough for us to capture now, is that they're actually all these creatures are from actually a different universe, and they cross over briefly and then go back.
So I had so many tabs open that the second story too. Did you want me to read it? Because this one actually has a picture attached to it, and I could share it on our Instagram.
Sure.
If you want to. Okay,
Sure.
this one's it's very short. So it's part of the first story, and it's what's called now the Watts Valley wolf ape, and it's a strange beast that tends to be seen in Fresno County, California. This creature is often described as having an ape-like face, fully covered in gray hair. So gray is kind of like the same theme,
It must be
but
my
has
grandpa.
but has human-like hands and feet. One of the more odd stories of the wolf
Oh,
ape
no.
was that when it broke into a single-room schoolhouse. So it's the same story that in the first story I told. The creature terrorized the students and teacher, but using desks, it still climbed into the rafters of the building.
Listen to my podcast. Listen to my podcast.
And it ripped into everyone's belongings, ate their lunch, and left.
This is my lunchable now.
Yeah, that's a Matt move. Come here, hot pocket.
But this one
Impossible.
actually has a picture with it. I'll post it in our Instagram, but as well as our group chat. And yeah, you can't make out too much of it,
When
but
did
I
that
could
happen supposedly?
let me see this one. This one was if I could find what tab. I have like 20 tabs. This one was actually on Tumblr. I don't know. It doesn't show. It's based off an Instagram post posted on October 22nd, 2017. So just 4 years ago.
That's wild.
La Bête du Javandon is the poster.
The picture
You
like,
heard
I
me.
zoomed in. Long dong. It looks like a dude in a horse costume almost.
That's what I was saying. Like, I think it's just a deer standing away.
It's just a double C thick deer.
I
A
know,
thick
I know,
deer.
I know wolf ape when I see one.
That ain't no relative of mine.
Follow us on Instagram or Twitter,
Perfect,
and
mate.
you be the
Using
judge.
for wolf ape. Yeah,
Wolf ape. There we go.
Ow.
I
We get
haven't
it.
heard of that one as recent.
I
I think the
haven't heard
Nightcrawler
it.
is the most
We're
prolific.
gonna push it. I fucking hate the Nightcrawler. It makes me so mad that's the one that took off.
I love it. I love our scary
I-
pants of our cryptid. Okay.
it
that's-
grew on me because I was there too. I was like, "It's stupid," but now that it's the Fresno Nightcrawler,
it is stupid,
He's
but
my
also like
son.
there's a lot of stupid cryptids.
yeah,
It just bothers me because I'm like, we finally had one pop off here. There's so many cool legends you could bring up. There's so many cool areas around here. What's the one that we get?
Scary
Tall
pants.
boy.
Licky boy.
But that's the thing too. There's no way to like disprove it. I've seen different shows that try to like mimic it. You can't.
Well, the bullshit is the guy just up and left town,
That's a
and
bullshit.
then
Yeah.
the video, the only video that we have, the one that you see on YouTube, is actually a like phone camera recording a TV screen of someone else that recorded a projector at some
Yeah.
conference. But I don't know. It's just Fresno Nightcrawler. Kind of love him. Well, we got other stuff though, but it never got as popular because
Yeah,
like,
that's what I mean. It's like there's other like really cool ones. Like this is cool as
We-
shit. Listen to this one.
we even have our own like Sasquatch stories from like Shaver Lake. Like there's a whole
Really?
mural up there. Yeah, they have a mural. That Bobcat Goldbluth movie was filmed in Shaver, and it's all about Bigfoot. And it's kind of I don't really like it that much.
Mm.
Snake Road, I think, is out in Sanger. There's like a headless horseman out there or something.
Yeah. I've heard that one before. I think we just need to do an episode of all the Sunset Valley ones.
3 hours later, just Ghost Hunting Show. Now let's go.
Yeah. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. But that's our Halloween episode. I'm glad we got this in before Halloween was done because it was creeping up behind us.
Right at the buzzer.
We were gonna
We
pull
got
a
it.
Simpsons into our Halloween episode the week after Halloween.
You know the podcast only comes out on Tuesday.
We don't even have a schedule anymore. It just whenever I
It
could
comes
get it
out
done.
whenever the fuck Alex feels like
Yeah.
it.
Whenever I could
No,
fucking get it done. All right.
Yeah, there you go.
Do a
I was
live.
like, I gave you more agency, dude. Yours made it sound sad. I was like, when Alex fucking feels like it.
No. Feel like it.
When Alex is like, you know what? You get to hear me in your ear hole. What up?
Mhm.
Oh, my ear.
Oh, your ear holes right now. That was so creepy.
All both of them. That was really loud. You vibrated my ear holes.
Known to do that.
Oh man.
Yay, we did it.
We did it. Thank you for listening. Happy Halloween. Be safe. Don't accidentally give kids your weed candies because I know that's
They're expensive.
expensive.
Yeah, if anybody does find the houses that are giving those out to the kids, let me know and I'll take care of it right away.
Yeah.
I'll make sure
Nip
they have
it right in
no
the
more
bud.
to give out to any kids.
I don't know. Hannah, that last time we were at your house was kind of like that. You were giving a bunch of treats to us.
I just have access to a lot of things right now.
Yeah.
It's gonna be lost on Halloween, full of gummy. I bring you love.
Yeah, that's where we're at now. Alex
Yeah.
is gonna fence.
Max on the
I'm a microphone.
on the mic.
Okay.
Looks like a
so
Fortnite.
I'll finish this episode off. Follow us on Linktree. That's where you'll find our Twitter, our Instagram, our Facebook, all that good stuff. It's Linktree, linktr.ee/3 hours later, all spelled out. Happy Halloween.
Yes, I agree.
see-
That is
see someone
correct.
smiling, run.
I'm also on the Smiling Man and the
Oh.
Skunk Ape or whatever it was.
Spooky
Wolf,
Groot.
Wolf Ape.
It's my spooky Groot.
I'm a freak.